Hi, this is Lucia with The Art of Love. Today I want to talk about how to deal with depression during no contact. This isn't something I've heard a lot of people talk about. Usually you hear about feeling anxiety during no contact, and yes, you definitely feel anxiety, but many people often feel depressed. So let me read this comment and then we will talk about this topic. So she says, my ex moved on 3 weeks after us not speaking. So it doesn't sound like there was a breakup. Maybe it sounds like they just stopped speaking. She says, it's now 6 weeks and he's telling people about her. Well, if they've just started dating, he's already telling people about her, then it's possible that he's just showing off and he's trying to get your attention. So I wouldn't even worry about that. However, she says, it hurts as I see him every day. So maybe they work together? We were together for 2.5 years. Will this hurt stop? Yes, it will. They've known each other for years by drinking in the same circle. She's younger, slimmer, and so pretty. So I'm going to discuss this in a second, but let me finish the comment. My confidence has hit an all-time low. I can't eat or sleep. My depression has come back with a vengeance. Sorry to hear that. So I've heard depression described as anger turned inwards. And so instead of being angry with him, you're angry with yourself. And being angry with yourself makes you feel powerless and it makes you depressed. And why do you feel depressed? It's because of the story that you're telling yourself. I rarely feel depressed just because I refuse to go there. When I start to feel depressed, I go, no, I'm not going there. And I try to keep my thoughts positive. And so I'm thinking that you are not keeping your thoughts positive, and thus you're depressed. And the clues are in the message here that you left on YouTube. So you say that she's younger. You're assuming that younger is better, but not always. And it's not necessarily true that he's with her because she's younger. He's with her because he feels a connection, a bond, and she just happens to be younger. And besides, you can't change your age. No matter what your age is, you can't change it. But it's not about age. I remember one time this guy was interested in me, but I wasn't interested in him. So he came back with, oh, it's okay. I've got 5 others just like you, and they're all younger. And my response to that was, well, that just means they don't know what they're doing. It's true. There is a huge advantage to being older. But of course, society doesn't want to admit that. Because as a woman, when you're older, you're more financially stable. There's less drama. You're more confident. There's so many benefits. And so if someone prefers someone younger, go ahead, I say, especially if they're a lot younger or they're in their 20s. I know there's going to be drama and it's probably not going to last, so I wouldn't even worry about it. Then you mentioned that she was slimmer. So the fact that you even mentioned that tells me that you are probably somewhat overweight, or maybe very overweight. I don't know, because I'm slim, and so I would never say, oh, he left me for someone who was slimmer. It's like I wouldn't even notice that she was slimmer, or even if I did, I wouldn't think that was the reason that he left, because she was slimmer, because it's not true. People prefer all types of body types. In fact, for some people, I know I would be too slim. The thick look is in for some people today. So it's not about the fact that she's slimmer, but you have an issue with it. So maybe you're not feeling good about yourself and your body. So that's something you need to work on. If you don't feel confident because of your looks, then you know what? There's so much information available out there on how to lose weight, how to get in shape, that instead of sitting around being depressed, why don't you start working on yourself so you can be confident and you'll be better prepared for your next relationship, whether it's with him or with someone else. And then finally, you said she's so pretty. So again, that leads me to think that you don't think you're pretty. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder, believe it or not. I know it's cliche, but haven't you seen couples where one person was not very attractive and the other person was, and you're like, wow, how'd that happen? It's because they're not with that person just for their looks. They're with them because of the connection, the compatibility, their soul, all kinds of things. So it's not just about looks. And plus, looks change. Someone who's pretty today, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, may not be so pretty. And besides, when you're with someone who's attractive, you get used to that person's looks. So after a year or two, you don't wake up and go, oh my God, she's so pretty. I mean, yes, you know they're pretty and you can appreciate it, but it's not like before. It's not like someone new looking at that person and going, wow, that person's so pretty. You get used to those looks. Do you remember years ago when Halle Berry was married to Eric Benet and he cheated on her? And people are like, oh my God, how could he cheat on her? She's so pretty, or she's so beautiful. Yes, because he was used to that. He was used to having Halle Berry, to having this beautiful woman. So it was just the norm. It wasn't anything special. So it's not just about looks. That just gets you in the door. But after that, there's got to be something more. I mean, if anything, let's turn this around. I mean, I would be happy that she was pretty and young and slim, because if he downgraded, if he went with someone unattractive and overweight, etc., I'd be like, what? How dare you downgrade? If you're going to leave, you better at least date someone as attractive or me or better. So I think it's actually, I like to look at the bright side. So I think it's actually better that he didn't downgrade. I don't know, maybe that's just me. And besides, by talking to yourself like this, you're actually abusing yourself. You're being mentally and emotionally abusive to yourself, and that's why you're depressed. It's the story that you're telling yourself. Because if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm old, I'm fat, I'm ugly, can you imagine being friends with someone who told you that every day? Every day you'd hear, you know what? You're old, fat, and ugly. You're old, fat, and ugly. You're old, fat, and ugly. How long would you be friends with that person? Not very long, I don't think. Unfortunately, you can't unfriend yourself. You can't run away from yourself. But what you can do is monitor your thoughts and turn them around. And so when you say something abusive, you turn that around and say, well, I may be fat now, but I'm going to do something about it. But I'm doing something about it. Etc., etc. You have to monitor every thought. At first it's going to seem weird, but eventually you're going to get used to it. And that's how you turn it around so you're not as depressed. And that, by the way, is actually how you love yourself. It's determined by how you talk to yourself. And that way, when you love yourself, because you're talking to yourself in a loving manner, you're not going to let one person's actions determine how you feel. This is one person out of billions. Who cares what he thinks? Who cares that he moved on? It's one person. Why are you giving your power away with all the people out there that you could be with? Like, what's so special about him? So don't make someone that important that you become depressed when they leave. It's not worth it. You're just wasting life, wasting time. Remember, your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. So if you're having issues during no contact with anxiety, depression, something else, then you can contact me regarding private coaching at my website, theartoflove.net. If you're listening to this on iTunes, I would appreciate if you would rate and review the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. And finally, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.